Welcome to today's episode of Come Let Us Reason Together. We telecast under the name of BS Bible Study with Deb. Today we shall be talking about the number of God. Did you know that God has a number and God has a mark? So it's not just the devil that has a mark or a number, okay? I know in the book of Revelation it says, 666 or whatever it says, is the mark of the devil, and some scary stuff in Daniel as well regarding the mark of the devil or the times and when the apostasy is come and all this business. But God has a mark. And where did we see that first mark? We saw that first mark in the book of Genesis when Cain killed his brother Esau. We know what punishment befell his parents before him and then himself. And in one verse in Genesis, he was conversing with God. He said, well, you're turning me away from my people. Anyone who sees me will likely kill me. Well, a lot of debate has been had. Who is this anyone? If Cain and Abel were the first descendants of Adam and Eve. There's been a lot of theories propounded out there that they had daughters and they had other kids. Others said, well, no, that there were already some creations on earth who were not like earthly beings. If you follow our other tapes, you will see that we've done tapes about the creation in Genesis 1 being totally different from the creation in Genesis 2. But that's a different story altogether. The creation in Genesis 1 they were ethereal, they were spirit creations. And then they were doing their thing on earth, not seen. And then God now decided to double down and actually mold something, okay, in his image and put them in the Garden of Eden to tend it. We know that story, so I'm not gonna go through that again. So anyway, the Lord gave Cain a mark and said, such that anyone who sees you will not kill you. So take note of that, because Cain went on to the city of Nob, married a lady from the city of Nob, we're told, and they have children and so on, and he became the father of the Edomites. And we know the story of the Edomites, and how it went on, and eventually the generation that came in Genesis 9 or so, where the watchers were sent to look after man and their affairs, and they fell. They saw that the daughters of men were like beautiful, so they took them for wives and did all sorts of things. So the hybrid kids that they produced were the Nephilims, or the giants, and so they did evil things in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord decided to finish them. I know I'm waffling and I'm going away from my topic, but anyway, so God has a mark, okay? Because if you come to the book, so if you come to the book of Revelation chapter 19, okay, we'll start first with Revelation chapter 7, where it talks about the 144 seals. After this, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth to prevent any wind from blowing on the land or on the sea or on any tree. Then I saw another angel coming up from the east, having the seal of the living God. So a seal is like a stamp, okay? A seal of the living God, a stamp, a mark, whatever it is, something like that. We've already talked about the seals in another tape in chapter 6. Okay. Right. So 144 were already sealed. And of those 144, we did another tape where we spoke of the 12 tribes of Judah. The 12 tribes of Israel were selected. No, however, the tribe of Ephraim and Dan were not sealed. And we did another tape where we said the reasons why they were not sealed, because they continued to worship idols at Bethel since the time of Jeroboam, right up to the time of the exile. And in fact, the Danites were already doing that from the idol that Micah made, if you remember that tape. And then when Jeroboam took over northern Israel, just to prevent people from going down to Jerusalem, he set up a branch in Dan. And we said their priests refused to follow the command of God, which was that only the lineage of Aaron were to be chief priests. We saw that in Dan, for instance, it was Moses' grandson who was the chief priest, and that was not the command given by God. So they broke many rules on many points there. So they were all not sealed. Okay, so that was that seal, and then we come to chapter 14. The Lamb was standing on Mount Zion, and with him the 144 who had his name, okay, and his father's name on their foreheads. So that's a kind of a mark, a seal, their names, okay? And let's see. So, all right, we come to chapter 17. It talks about Babylon, the prostitutes, on the beasts. With her, the kings of the earth committed adultery, and the inhabitants of the earth were intoxicated with the wine of her adulteries. Babylon here, I presume, will be Asherah. That is just my thinking, that she is Asherah, and that's why the Bible tried a lot of times. Each time the Israelites were punished by God, it was because they went after other gods, commonly Baal, but it could be Tammuz, it could be Chemosh, it could be any of the other gods. And constantly, one of the key laws, instructions he gave was for them to destroy the Asherah poles. Okay, if she wasn't that important, I don't think the Bible will make a point constantly destroy all the Asherah poles, or some king will come. He did good in the sight of the Lord. He destroyed all the Asherah poles, and he broke down the altar where they worship Baal. It means that they were in constant competition with God. So if we study the cult of Asherah by itself, because she was regarded as the goddess of fertility, of renewal, of birth, and so on and so forth, we'll see that there was a lot of sexual orgies that took place, child sacrifice, grain sacrifice, people getting drunk and doing all kinds of stuff. And if things went well, they kind of thanked Asherah for it. So the woman was dressed in purple and scarlet, and was glittering, scarlet lady, with gold, precious stones, and pearls. She had a golden cup in her hand, filled with abominable things and the filth of her adulteries. Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of the abominations of the earth. I saw that the woman was drunk with the blood of God's holy people, the blood of those who bore testimony to Jesus. You see that there was human sacrifice, I said, and quite often they do all sorts of outrageous things, from eating the flesh to drinking the blood. When I saw her, I was greatly astonished. Then the angel said to me, why are you astonished? I'll explain to you the mystery of the woman and the beast she rides, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast which you saw once was, now is not, and yet will come up out of the abyss and go to its destruction. The inhabitants of the earth, whose names have not been written in the book of life from the creation of the world, will be astonished when they see the beast, because it once was, now is not, and yet will come. This calls for a mind with wisdom. Gee, I have to study that one. I'll have to stop here because even I am confused.